So I want to talk to you now about the advantage of the new SM10 wedges. And I did a little reveal when my demo clubs came in. It's awesome to be able to fit people properly for wedges, and something you really need to pay attention to. But I really want to talk to you about what goes on with this club and why this is so effective and why it's going to help you shoot lower scores. Look, most of us have 3, maybe 4 wedges in the bag. You have 14 total clubs. So when you start doing simple math on this, it's not like you go out onto the golf course with 4 drivers or 4 putters or 4 hybrids, but you got 4 wedges, which means they're really important. Some people would say 4 times more important than any other club. I would say, you know what, you miss a lot of greens, far more than you're hitting. And as a result, you need to have some control over these. And these are the clubs that are going to allow you to maybe make some birdies on par 5s and maybe save some pars on par 4s. So this is an important thing that you're going to learn here. And I want you to understand what they've done here with these SM10s. First of all, out on the PGA Tour at the elite level of the game, really good wedge players play lower launching shots. And when you start to be able to hit lower launching shots, that's when you're going to start to be able to have some real distance control. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here when it comes to lower launching shots. So I'm going to hit a shot. I've got a 75-yard shot here. This is my 53-degree wedge. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to hit a shot that's going to get out there to about 75 yards, okay? That's what I'm going to attempt to do. So here's the shot, and I flew it a little bit more than I wanted to. That flew 80 and spun back to about 78. So I want you to pay attention to a couple of little different things. First of all, this vertical launch is at 26. Whenever you're looking at a properly launched wedge, it should be below 30 degrees. If you're launching it above 30 degrees, you're going to have some problems, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. So I was trying to hit a 75-yard shot. It ended up going about 78 yards. I got a little bit more spin, which is what you're going to find with the SM10s. You're going to get more spin. There's more stability because of a forward center of gravity. And that forward center of gravity is not only going to help launch the ball a little lower, but it's going to make this club a little bit more stable. And as a result, you're going to deliver the loft more consistently, right? You're going to have much more control over the launch angle, the distance, and the spin because of that forward CG. So this shot here had 65 miles an hour, 66 miles an hour of clubhead speed, and I got a shot that launched at 26 and flew about 80. Now, what I'm going to do with this shot is I'm going to try to get the same clubhead speed. I'm not a robot. I'm going to try to get the same clubhead speed, about 65 miles an hour, 66 miles an hour. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch this one above 30 degrees, okay? So I'm going to release the club early, really force this one up into the air, and see if I can't get 60 miles an hour of clubhead speed with a lot higher launch, certainly above 30 degrees. So here we go. Okay, so now let's look at what we got here. So on this particular shot, I launched it at 34.4, so I got it above that. What's also curious about this one is that my clubhead speed, I was trying to get 65 or 66. I ended up getting 68.6, so pretty close to what I was trying to get. Yet, this came up about 10 yards short. And the reason why it comes up 10 yards short is because the ball speed now is lower than the clubhead speed because of that high launch. When I start coming through, I take my, which is a 54 bent to 53, so I take my 53-degree lofted club, I add loft to it, so now it jumps up into the air at 34 degrees and goes up there with a lot more spin than I want. But more than that, I end up getting a ball speed that's not at the speed of the club head, and it comes up short, okay? And what you're going to find when you start launching the ball a little bit lower is you start getting a much more predictable distance. If you go to a PGA Tour event and you watch them practice their wedges from the side, not from behind them, but from the side of the range, you're going to see these golf balls, they're going to flight out really low. It's going to surprise you at how low these flight out. So, and the fun part is you really don't have to do anything super special to get this done. I mean, because of the way this club is made now, it's going to bring the launch angle down. It's going to create that stability, and it's also going to give you some added spin. So let's see if I can get back to that launch number again. And a little bit more consistent speed. So here you go. So this is exactly what I wanted to try to do. Again, 75 yards. I only hit it 71. I launched it at 28.5, so a little higher, but still sub 30. Spin rate comes down, but here's where it gets fun. I didn't get that club head speed to 65. But because of the way the club was delivered now, the ball speed is higher than the club head speed, which is what I want to try to get when I'm hitting a shot of 75 yards. I'm not talking about hitting a shot around the greens. I'm talking about hitting a shot into a green from about 75 yards. Here's the thing that you want to look at. When you get into hitting this shot, you don't have to now think about all these little different things that I tell you about all the time to launch the ball a little bit lower. Because of what they've done with the center of gravity of the club, not just moving it forward, but also some stability toe to heel, now the club isn't altering in its loft, which many of you get. So you get sometimes a toe hit. So here's another one. And again, trying to get 75 out of that. Club head speed was at 66. The ball speed was at 67. The ball flew 73. It launched at 28.6. Spin rate at about 8,200. So everything that I'm trying to get, I get without having to work so hard. And that doesn't mean that your technique doesn't need some adjustments. We all need technique adjustments. That's a fact. But with this club, now all of a sudden, the club is built to drive this ball down a little bit more. You still get the loft, you still get the spin. You can see it. That ball is that one there flew 73.4 yards and it stopped. That's what you're begging for, by the way. You get more spin, but you also get more stability and you get more predictability. So all of a sudden, you start getting into this wedge play, and it doesn't matter whether it's a 58 or a 60 or this 53. You're now all of a sudden, you're going to start seeing this ball come down a little bit lower. And that's when you start getting a more piercing trajectory, a more predictable distance, and a predictable spin rate. Let's try one more here. See if we can get that 65 or 6 again. I kind of laid off that one. That was a bad one. 64 miles an hour. That was a bad one. I get a mulligan. I caught that too a little bit thin on the club. That strike was a little bit lower. But having said that, the launch angle was at 26. Here we go. 65 or 6. That should be pretty good. There you go. So that one, the speed was 67 miles an hour. That flew 75.5. The launch was 26.6. And what you could see with my numbers is I'm not really working that hard. What I'm doing is I'm letting the golf club help me. Now, the funny thing is this. When you think about golf clubs and you think about sort of that air quotes game improvement, you think about a driver, you might think about a hybrid or a fairway wood. You might even think about some of the irons that you play, but you really don't think about it from a wedge standpoint. Well, for the first time, now we have a wedge that does have game improvement in there because of what they've been able to do with that center of gravity, nudging it forward, and also giving you more stability from toe to heel. So that club is now moving through. The face doesn't have a lot of rotation to it. It's very stable as it's coming through the swing. And as a result, you're delivering consistent loft, which is going to launch that ball a little bit lower. You're going to get consistent spin, which is going to give you that stopping power. And you're going to start to have real control over these very important shots with your wedges. These are the scoring clubs. These are the ones that are saving you some shots. They're helping you make some birdies on par fives. Very important clubs, and that's why you've got so many of them. Give these SM10s a try. I'm telling you, you're going to see an immediate difference in your game. To improve all parts of your game, subscribe to my channel and click the link below.